So when I was a kid, every Easter, my mom would make me an Easter basket. She would never buy the ones made in the store. She would actually make them for me. And always inside that Easter basket would be a chocolate bunny from the Palmer Chocolate Factory. And it came actually from, I think it's Reading, Pennsylvania. I'm going to probably get that wrong. But yeah, so here's their website. Now, here's what I remember from a child. This is really devastating. Uh, yeah, I'll go over that in a minute. But here's some of the candies that I remember my mom buying for me when I was a little kid. So I would either get this one in my Easter basket. Now, they have been in business since 1948. Apparently, the packaging from the original bunnies that they had never changed. They kept it the same. It's a candy classic. Let's go ahead and find I had this one also. I remember it like yesterday. My bunny would look like this also with the little bow and the candy eyes and the little candy rosette. And so I either got this guy or I got Peter Cottontail. And every year, like clockwork, it would be inside my little basket. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to lie. The chocolate tasted like baby vomit. It was terrible. It was not Hershey's. It was, I don't know, it tasted like wax. And I used to basically not eat it. I just thought it was a nifty looking thing. And that was basically it. My mom was a chocolate aholic, a chocoholic, I guess you can say. And she would actually look forward to taking my chocolate bunny, biting the ears off, eating the whole damn thing. And as a matter of fact, all right, this is like really gross. But one year, she fell asleep with one of the chocolate bunnies. She was reading a book in bed and she was eating the chocolate bunny. And I'm not trying to make a joke out of tragedy, but this is what actually happened. And so she was eating the chocolate bunny in bed, reading a book. She fell asleep. In the middle of the night, my father got up and started screaming on the top of his lungs. And I was like, what the F is going on? And my father was running through the house screaming, oh my God, I shit myself. I shit myself. Apparently, my mother fell asleep with the bunny in bed. And my dad woke up in the middle of the night feeling, like his legs all wet. And he looked at his hand after he touched his leg and thought he shit himself. He jumped into the shower at like 3 a.m., was screaming bloody murder. Turns out Peter Rabbit melted in my mother's bed. So the fact that this factory blew up now that my mother's gone, it's sad because it's a part of like your childhood is gone now. And so here we go. This is what happened yesterday. A bunch of people dead, injured, and this is the explosion. It happens very fast, so pay attention. Okay, that was actually a weather camera for a news station that actually had some kind of surveillance. And I mean, absolutely devastation. The whole entire factory, which has been there since the 40s, totally obliterated. Flat and nothing but rubble. Missing people, people dead. It's just god awful. And I don't even know what other thing you can say about this, but this is, I mean, can you imagine the families that lost their loved ones or have missing loved ones that are probably buried under this rubble? I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. Now, how the hell did this happen? So we're not going to find out. Now, I'm speculating. Why? Because I just speculate because I'm just a regular armchair schmuck trying to figure out why in the hell would a chocolate factory explode in this manner. Now, they claim it may have been a gas leak. It may have. And I'm sure further, investigation is going to be going on at what happened. And it's going to take quite a bit. Now, this is the devastation. This is what is left. I mean, if anything is left of that building.
Chief 69, Deputy 64, go ahead. Okay, myself. Okay, Mayor said nobody inside here.
Thanks for interrupting my YouTube video. Okay, so yeah, so this is basically seen from the distance, the smoke in the air. Here's some neighbors, I guess, taking video, and yeah, awful, god awful. So you wonder, how in the hell does something like this happen? I mean, a chocolate factory just exploding, absolutely obliterated, nothing but rubble. Okay, so I started like looking into things, and yeah, I'm just an armchair schmuck. I'm no detective, but I started reading. I went on Indeed.com and I typed in RM Palmer Company reviews. Now, this is employee reviews of their experience working there. A lot of 1 and 2 and 3-star reviews. Apparently, there was 68 reviews here. Not very many happy people working there. So here we go. Here's one of the reviews. It says, "Run far, run fast." And this person was a maintenance mechanic. And sadly, it says current employee. Started in 2020, Building 3. Don't know if that was the one that blew up, but it says here, "Let me begin by saying, if there is any hope for this company, it will be by new ownership and management change. Machines are run into the ground, 480 extension cords everywhere. Extremely dangerous. Management rides you for faster machine speed. No parts. This place is a junkyard. Lots of tools being stolen. Had to lock up tool cart when on lines. Worst managed place I have ever worked in. Management turns a blind eye to problems." Here's another one. "Horrible training program. Outdated, worn out, patched up equipment. Constantly moving machinery with extension cords stretched out all over the place. You have to be careful who you talk to. They have their rats. Nobody happy working here. Filthy for being a food manufacturer. Some parts of plant is very crowded. Owner has no clue about conditions. Benefits stink." Now let's look for more. I'm trying to find out the condition of the factory. So like I'm delving as deeply as I can in here. Safety goes out the window. It says company makes you work 7 days a week for months with only holidays off. Also changes company policy if they need something done. All right, let's check out. Trying to find information about their equipment. How could an explosion like this happen? It boggles the mind. Oh, here we go. Whoa, okay. Everything broken and outdated. Machines are run at top speed and employees have to run to keep up. Whatever candy that doesn't go all over the floor goes into cardboard boxes, sits in the warehouse for 2 years, gets stale, and then gets remelted down and mixed with new chocolate. Ugh. Employees that are supposed to be watching for bad candy are doing 3 other jobs and not even looking at the product. Holy cow, look at this. OSHA violations everywhere. And they were really recently fined 250, is this 250,000? Oh, 25,000 for safety reasons. Oh my goodness. All right. Fast-paced and busy work, but temps were thrown away like garbage. Okay. Apparently they have a lot of temp workers that aren't trained very well. That's another thing. Somebody else mentioned that a lot of the workers don't even speak English and can't understand what needs to be done or the safety. I was reading that earlier. Okay, here we go. It says, let's see, handle criticism. Oh, here we go. Handle criticism. The machines don't work. Collecting candy, making sure it's an easy way to get and take away when the box is full of bare candy. I know how to run a bagger where we pack the candy. Know how to run a foiler or a foiler. The hardest part would be the yelling. And when they get frustrated, they don't give you a chance to prove yourself. Okay, let's see. Anything else about the machines? That's really what I want to know about. Woof. Let's see. And actually, I'm going to start from the top because here we go. Manufacturing environment. Okay, benefits are decent, blah, blah, blah. Work life, but this is normal. It says run far, run fast. That's what we did read. I have to go back to page 1 and listen to the workers. That's the most biggest clue you can get. It says, let's see. bad. Don't go unless you really need the money. Basically, you get so many cuts from doing work that you get band-aids and then have to get right back to working. Okay, so obviously they're not safety minded. Okay, here we go. Making candy stressful. High-speed manufacturing environment. Equipment pushed to its limits without much maintenance. Only enough to keep it kind of sort of running or hobbling along 24/7. Not much training available. Must be quick to learn and good. So basically, they put these people on a worker's line, in the factory. Not much training. Basically, these machines are run with extension cords. They're falling apart. It says stretched thin by impossible multitasking. Basically, learning by watching others. That's not really good safety. Here we go. This is about favoritism. That's just normal bull crap. This person's complaining about the pay. Spanish, I can't understand it. Maybe you can. Es una campaña que puedes trabajar. El trabajo es fácil y cómodo. Comodo. Don't know what that means. Here's another Spanish thing. I can't understand it. Maybe you can. Ambiente laboro pésimo no consideran el empleado. Our empalma debe ofrece. As you can tell, I failed high school Spanish. Apoyo y motivación a cada empleado. No todo es dinero. I guess that means not much money. Por es motivo. So I guess poor motivation. Excelente trabajadores. I can't do this anymore. I guess you guys can just read it to yourself. There you go. Here we go. Favoritism. Okay, that's normal shit. No respect. It says they allow non-English speaking temps who don't understand. That's very, very bad for safety. If you don't have workers that can understand or even read safety manuals or signs in English, that is not very good. Okay, let's check it out. Here we go. People are treated like dogs, short breaks, lots of drama. Okay. It's, wow, okay, stressful. Apparently, they just give you a mini walkthrough and don't really tell you how to work. They just throw you on the line. Let's see. Too many, I guess they're basically saying there's too many, when they say white coats, too many managers, but not, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. I guess that's a saying. So, too much management, riding your ass, and morale is low. All right. High volume shipping. Trying to find a suitable permanent job for myself, blah, blah, blah. Palmas were seasonal work for temporary workers. A lot of worker or employee turnover. That's another problem. If you keep having just temp workers, you're not training them properly. Okay, this place offers nothing but stress. I'm trying to find about the equipment. That's very important. One of the most hazardous, here we go. It says, honestly speaking, the pay is good for the work that's done, but the pay is not worth the stress the management gives. They don't care about employees at all. All they care about is production. The product being pushed out is rough looking and handled poorly. One of the most hazardous environments I've ever worked up, and nothing gets done about it. Many people are afraid to speak up due to being afraid of being targeted or punished. So I guess if there's hazards, people are afraid to speak up about it. Wow, what a damn shame. Let's see. Anything else? All right, so we were on page 2. We'll go to page 3. And let's see. It says raw materials for prepping, mixing, measuring, cooking, crude resources, manage automated methods. What's this? Execute and manage machines, carry out inspections, packing. Okay, they're just really not telling you much, just telling you what they do. Okay, let's keep going. About temps. They treat temps like crud. Hectic workplace. Here we go. Hectic workplace with too many inexperienced people. I receive my line up for the night, punch in, report to my line, go to the first machine I am assigned to start my 8 hours. Some nights are very stressful, to do the machines not running good, or the molding line is running too fast, or the product isn't very good. Okay, so apparently it sounds like they run their machines into the ground. So those machines could have malfunctioned and helped cause this explosion. Okay, here we go. Outdated technology at every step of the company with no interest in upgrading. Okay, that could that could be meaning something towards the equipment. Let's see. It was a good job, but fast-paced, not recommended. Here we go. Glad to be retiring from this place. Broken, outdated equipment makes the job 10 times harder than it should be. Very interesting about all the complaints about the equipment that these people were working with. I mean, I'm not an investigator, but it doesn't take a moron to figure out what's going on here. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Another one. The worker's the best part of the job. The one thing you'll learn here is how to work on broken, outdated, and unsafe equipment. You'll have 20 people standing and waiting for 5 mops. Owner has no idea what is going on in his buildings, especially the WYO building. Machines running too fast to try and increase their bonuses. Candy all over the floors. Candy going in cardboard boxes and all scuffed up. Employees running with 4 and 5 boxes in their hands, trying to keep up. Safety hazards everywhere. Sad. Okay, so here's something that I found out. I think it was in 2008. There was a sugar refining factory explosion. Apparently, any kind of fine powdery type of things can explode. And I never realized this until I saw something about this explosion that happened in 2008. Apparently, powdered sugar, got everywhere, and the company was not maintaining cleanliness. They were not vacuuming up all the powdered sugar that actually got wedged into the buildings, like all their fans, all their machines. It was on the ceiling, it was in the light fixtures, it was up to people's knees, sometimes spilled on the floor, the sugar, so bad that the sugar actually, one of the bearings on the conveyor belt got really hot, ignited the powdered sugar, which actually floats in the air. The whole building exploded. I mean, it was one of the worst industrial accidents in United States history. So now you got cocoa powder, right? You got powdered sugar in this building, and it's actually floating in the air, and it could have caused the explosion, especially with faulty equipment. Very, very sus. Very sus. Let's check out some more. Wow. Okay. And I'm trying to find out as much info as I can here. Inspection and ran machinery. I ran machinery for the process of producing candy. And I don't see any info about their machines being faulty. Let's see. Anything else? Now, I want to show you guys something. There was a video. I have to find it. Hold on one second. All right. So we're going to look up the 2008 sugar. Factory explosion. And it was in Georgia. Now, when I saw this video, I was like, you got to be shitting me. All right. I have to find. Okay. So this building completely and utterly just blew up, killing many people. I have to find it. Hold on one second. And there was some kind of let's see, Imperial. It was Imperial sugar. All right. There was a video I saw, and I never knew that sugar could cause explosions. I mean, powdered sugar. Who would ever think that? Okay, let's see. There was some kind of video explaining it, and this is it, I believe. Now watch this and you won't believe how horrible this was.
At 7:15 p.m. on February 7th, 2008, a series of violent sugar dust explosions devastated the Imperial Sugar Refinery in Port Wentworth, Georgia, just outside Savannah. Explosions raced through the buildings, fueled by accumulations of combustible sugar dust and sugar that had spilled from equipment. Thick concrete floors heaved up, and brick walls were blown into stairwells and work areas, blocking many exit routes. Fires spread rapidly. 8 workers died at the scene. 6 more died later at a regional burn center. Dozens of others were injured. The plant's massive sugar-packing buildings were a total loss.
The accident at Imperial Sugar was the deadliest industrial dust explosion in the United States in decades. It highlights the extremely serious nature of combustible dust hazards.
There were significant accumulations of sugar dust and spilled granulated sugar on surfaces throughout this facility. Conditions were set for a catastrophic accident.
Imperial Sugar's sprawling Port Wentworth complex began operations in 1917 and grew to become one of the largest sugar refining and packaging facilities in the U.S. Granulated sugar from the refinery was stored in 3 100-foot-tall silos and then conveyed into packing buildings where it was packaged for distribution. Granulated sugar was also converted into specialty products, such as brown sugar and powdered sugar. Sugar was transported by a complex system of bucket elevators, screw conveyors, and conveyor belts. During this process, sugar spilled onto floors throughout the work area. In places, the spilled sugar was many inches deep. This sugar also contained fine particles which became airborne. In addition, hammer mills were used to crush the granulated sugar into powdered sugar, creating even more dust. The machines were connected to a dust collection system, but it was undersized and in disrepair, and it was not connected to the bucket elevators and conveyors. Significant amounts of sugar dust escaped into the work areas. Workers routinely used compressed air to clean packaging machines, further dispersing sugar dust throughout the buildings. Over time, large amounts of dust accumulated on elevated, hard-to-clean surfaces, such as ducts, beams, and light fixtures. These surfaces were not cleaned often enough to always keep the dust below hazardous levels. In the tunnel beneath the sugar silos, granulated sugar flowed through chutes onto a long steel conveyor belt. From time to time, clumps of sugar would become stuck in one of the chutes, blocking the flow of sugar on the belt, spilling sugar onto the floor and releasing dust into the tunnel. But the tunnel was large and ventilated, so this airborne dust did not build up to explosive concentrations. However, in 2007, the company enclosed the conveyor belt with stainless steel panels to protect the sugar from possible contamination. The enclosure was not equipped with a dust collection system. As a consequence, sugar dust would now be trapped inside this enclosure. On February 7, 2008, clumps of sugar were found blocking one of the discharge chutes. Sugar from the adjacent silo likely spilled off the moving belt. Dust likely accumulated to an explosive concentration inside the enclosure. At about 7:15 p.m., the sugar dust contacted a nearby ignition source, likely an overheated bearing, and exploded. This primary explosion blew apart the enclosure and vented into the packing building. Accumulated sugar was lofted and ignited by the advancing fireballs. The dust clouds fueled a chain reaction of secondary explosions, which swept through the buildings. Concrete floors buckled, releasing tons of granulated and powdered sugar into the flames. Emergency evacuation drills had not been conducted, and the explosions had cut the power to much of the interior lighting. In the maze of darkened and damaged stairwells and passageways, workers desperately tried to flee the growing inferno. The CSB found that correspondence dating back to the late 1950s showed that plant managers in Port Wentworth were aware of the explosive nature of sugar dust and the danger of dust accumulations. As far back as 1961, a memo described a sugar dust explosion that heavily damaged the powdered sugar mill room.
Despite the long-standing awareness of the explosive nature of sugar dust, not enough was done to manage the hazard.
In 2006, the CSB issued a study of combustible dust, which called on OSHA to establish a comprehensive combustible dust standard based on the current standards of the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. In October 2007, OSHA began implementing a new national emphasis program to increase the enforcement of existing regulations related to combustible dust.
Imperial Sugar learned of the OSHA Combustible Dust National Emphasis Program 4 months before the devastating explosion at Port Wentworth. But management did not act effectively to control the serious dust problem in the packing buildings.
Less than 2 months before the disaster, an internal inspection showed that many tons of sugar were still regularly spilling onto the floors. This provided much of the fuel for the massive secondary explosions and fires. The CSB found that over the years, the Port Wentworth facility periodically experienced small fires fueled by spilled sugar and accumulated dust on equipment. But none resulted in a sugar dust explosion that propagated through the plant. Investigators said that decades of operating without a catastrophic explosion may have lulled managers into complacency. In its report, the CSB issued the following recommendations to the Imperial Sugar Company. Apply NFPA standards to the design and operation of the rebuilt Port Wentworth facility. Develop and implement comprehensive combustible dust control, housekeeping, and training programs. Improve emergency evacuation policies and procedures.
Companies can go a long way to control combustible dust within their own facilities by following the existing recommendations of the National Fire Protection Association. But it is also time for a comprehensive federal standard on combustible dust.
In April 2009, OSHA announced plans to begin rulemaking on a combustible dust standard for general industry. In its final report on the Imperial Sugar accident, the CSB recommended that OSHA move forward expeditiously with the new standard.
Without regulation, enforcement, and education, workers will continue to be at risk from catastrophic dust explosions.
For further information, please visit csb.gov.
Okay, so I'll leave it up to you. Gas explosion, or was there so much fine mist coca dust floating around with fine sugar floating around in this factory that it ended up exploding and maybe gas ignited it? I guess we'll leave that up to the experts. But sadly, Palmer has been around since, I believe it was 1948, and is no longer. And and those workers, as you can see, a lot of them wrote about safety problems and hazards, and that the machines were run 24/7, that chocolate and the product was all over the floors. That could mean coca dust as well, sugar dust. It could have been everywhere. Extension cords running the machines. That is so unsafe, and that nobody wanted to rat because they were afraid of repercussions. Could that have happened? Maybe we won't know. Maybe we'll never know. But innocent people are dead now and injured. And some families will never see their loved ones ever again. So was it negligence? Was it shoddy equipment? Was it the lack of training? Or was it all of that and unsafe conditions and people were afraid to say something? I'll leave that up to you guys, and hopefully we'll find out answers soon.